My coworker submitted my business idea to our company's innovation board under her name and got promoted off the back of it. I had the original email draft saved with a timestamp from 6 weeks before she presented it. Let me tell you how we got there. Tara and I had been on the same team for 2 years and I'd always been friendly with her, not close, but the kind of colleagues who grab coffee sometimes and vent about deadlines and share information freely because you think you're in a safe environment with people who operate the way you do. That was my mistake. The idea came to me after a particularly bad client meeting where a process we used kept breaking down at the same point every single time, and I spent a weekend building out a full solution, documented it properly, put it in a detailed email draft that I never sent because I wanted to refine it more before presenting it officially. I mentioned it to Tara on a Monday, casually, over coffee, just thinking out loud, and she asked questions, good questions, and I remember thinking she gets it. This is a good sign. Maybe I should loop her in properly. I did not loop her in properly. 3 weeks later, our manager called a team meeting and Tara presented my idea, my process, my solution, my specific language in places, slightly rearranged but not rearranged enough, and I sat in that meeting watching 12 people nod and watching my manager say, Tara, this is exactly the kind of thinking we need, and I felt something I can only describe as a very specific and very quiet internal collapse. I didn't say anything in the meeting. I needed to think clearly, and I couldn't think clearly in that room, so I just sat there and clapped with everyone else and went back to my desk and opened that email draft and looked at the timestamp and breathed. She got promoted 2 weeks later. A full grade jump. New title. Pay increase. Announced in the company newsletter with a paragraph about her innovative thinking and her commitment to improving team processes. I read that newsletter 3 times. Then I forwarded the original draft to my personal email just to have it somewhere else and booked a meeting with HR for the following week. I didn't go in angry. I went in with the email, a document I'd put together showing the specific language overlaps between my draft and her presentation, and a very calm summary of the timeline including the Monday coffee conversation which I had, by complete chance, referenced in a message to my sister that same day. Hey, Tara seemed really interested in my workflow idea. Might actually present it properly soon. Time stamped. Sitting in my personal messages. Not proof of theft on its own, but combined with everything else it painted a picture that was difficult to argue with. HR asked me why I hadn't sent the email officially before she presented, and I said I was still refining it, and they said that made things complicated, and I said I understand. I just want the record to reflect the actual timeline. They said they'd look into it. I didn't hear anything for 10 days and I was starting to think nothing would happen, but then my manager called me in and his face told me something had shifted, and he said we'd been reviewing the situation, and I said okay, and he said Tara has admitted the idea originated from a conversation with you. Just like that. Admitted it. Apparently when HR spoke to her she thought they were asking routine questions, and she had said something to the effect of, well, we discussed it together, which was not the same as what she told the innovation board, and the inconsistency had done its own work. The promotion got paused. Not reversed immediately but paused pending a review, and during that review they asked me to present the full concept properly, which I did, completely, in a room with senior leadership, and I answered every technical question and I watched their faces and I knew halfway through that this was going to land the way it should have landed the first time. I got the promotion. Different title than hers, 1 grade. Higher actually, because the review had surfaced that I'd been operating above my level for some time and they wanted to correct it. Tara kept her job but was moved to a different team. No explanation given publicly, but these things don't stay private in an office and people are smart enough to connect timelines when they want to. She sent me a message the week after. Said she hoped there were no hard feelings, and I read it once and closed it because hard feelings weren't what I had. What I had was a new title and a pay increase and an original email draft with a timestamp that had done more work than she'd accounted for. I replied 2 days later. Just 1 line. Good luck on the new team. Professional. Warm. Even. I've learned that the best endings don't need punctuation.